And welcome back to another episode. As always, we're glad to have you here today. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. Additionally, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BeardedTesla. So today what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be removing a vinyl wrap that we had on our center console and replacing it with an ABS plastic option that has some additional features and a way better finish. Vinyl wraps have been available for Tesla since the Tesla Model 3 launched. There are many third-party options, and over time prices have continued to drop. Now there are some differences in quality that you do get with different prices. We elected to buy the cheapest absolute bottom price item we could find. All we cared about was a matte black finish and as cheap as possible. So for $6.99 we bought a vinyl wrap in matte black and installed it. Unfortunately, it did not stick very well and we did have some issues. But that said, we did have a different finish on our center console and no longer had that gloss black. A few months ago, I came across a product on Amazon that I was really intrigued by, and it was an ABS plastic cover. Now, I saw some of the bigger third-party vendors like RPM Tesla had developed a ABS plastic cover for the center console, and I was certainly intrigued. Now, prices vary widely on these, and a lot of that is due to these being a recent addition to the market. So Xenix is the company that makes the product that I found, and I'm going to explain to you why I like this one better than most. So again, prices do vary, and there is a slight difference in quality. One of the most common reviews that I see is the piece that goes in the center, where you open to access the lower storage compartment, tends to come in a little too narrow. And the problem with this is it leaves the edges to expose a gloss black that is very visible. The one that Xenix makes actually is a much better fit in this center piece and hides that gloss, and I'll show you that later. Additionally, one of the things I really like about this one over others is it does have a slot built in for the key card. I think it's a cool feature. It's not a game changer, but it is very neat. If you ever lend your car out or in valet, it's sometimes difficult for people to know where exactly to put that key until the screen tells them where to put it. Now they know exactly where to put it, and also they're not sliding it around and scratching the surface. So this center console cover comes in 3 different finishes. It's about $45, maybe a little bit less on Amazon. So there is, of course, the matte black finish, the carbon fiber in gloss, and carbon fiber in matte. We elected for the matte black finish, and I am extremely satisfied with the way that this turned out. So with that said, let's get into it. Instead of a wrap, you actually get a plastic molded cover that just attaches. And what's cool about Xenix cover is they have this slot molded in for the key card. Also, a lot of these kits, because the center console comes in different shapes, let me show you what I mean. This piece right here has a different width than this piece does, which again is different than what this width is. And because of that, it's a lot of these kits, this one is a pretty good width, but this one is too narrow. So I'm excited to see if the Xenix kit is also suffering from the same issue. The problem with these being too narrow is with that gloss underneath, you can really see the shine on the side. So I'm excited to try this kit out and see how well it does, because it's not the cheapest, but in my opinion, you're getting a little bit more value for that extra cost. And again, that's with this cutout for the key, which is really cool, I guess. I think it's cool. So anyways, as you can see, it's just 3M tape on the back, a couple of strips on each of these pieces. So the first thing we need to do, we got to remove this wrap. All right, now this may seem silly, but pro tip for you, especially if you own a Tesla, there's a lot of flat surfaces in this car. These Swiffer dusters are amazing. They work really, really well. And it's just about the only way to get dust and debris off of your surfaces without leaving a bunch of residue behind. So I've always had and always used Swiffer dusters in my cars, so they work really well. All right, so now back to our kit. We're gonna start with this back piece, and we're going to place it and see how it looks. This is a really good fit, so I'm excited. I hope that this 3M tape holds up really well, because as long as it does and this thing doesn't rattle, this is gonna be awesome. Okay, so looks like a really good fit. Let's go ahead and peel our tape. All right, so now when you're placing these things, look where the tape is at. There's one way up front, there's one right here, and there's one all the way in the back. So once this thing starts to touch, it's gonna get real sticky real fast. So lining this up is going to be really important that you get it right. So, and then before you start pushing down, make sure it feels like it's in there in the right position. Reaching around the cup holders, that feels really good. Good spacing. All right, so start to push down. Yep, okay. As with all 3M adhesive products, it just needs a little bit of pressure for a small period of time to really set. And I believe it's this piece. Okay, it's definitely this piece. So here's the thing I'm noticing immediately. So on this back piece, I was able to just kind of rest it against this side rail to line it up really well. You don't have that luxury here. So if I have it all the way on the side, you can see this big gap over here compared to really tight. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle. So that's in there, it is straight. All right, and then next will be our top plate here. So it's going to go like so. And it looks like this one is a little bit, has a little bit of a bow to it. So we're gonna have to put some pressure to make sure this really sets well when we place it on. So let's peel the tape. Okay, and then put some really good pressure on the sides. All right, our final piece is a little piece of trim all the way at the top. Now this one you're gonna wanna put as high up as you can so you don't have issues with clearance on the top when you open the part where your phones go in. So here we are about 20 minutes later, completely done. No trimming, no cutting, no stretching, no reapplying, no trying again. I gotta say, it looks pretty good. Now let's see if the key card works all right. Yep, seems to work just fine. Now, one of the things I will say is that due to the weight of these covers and how big they are and full, when you go to, this usually opens by itself. Now it needs some assist to get all the way up. So just keep that in mind. Not a big deal, but I gotta say, this looks really good. If you look over along the corners, look at reviews on all these products, there's usually a big shiny gap here. This is just the opening gap. This isn't, you're not seeing any of the center console underneath. On this side, same thing. You don't see the shiny piece. Now you can kind of start to see a little bit of a corner there where I probably could have got a little bit closer. Same over here, but this looks really, really good. And again, I love having this card holder here because if you ever give your card to somebody and they have to use the key, it's nice. They know exactly where to put it and it's not rolling around scratching everything. So I'm a big fan. This is way easier than a wrap. Definitely more expensive, but Xenix did a really good job with this. I will include a link for you to find this because I'm very satisfied with this and I think that you'll really appreciate having this in your car as well. There are some tips for the install that I think are important to talk about. Ensuring that you get the corners pressed and held really well is going to be helpful. Additionally, if you can apply some heat to help form these to the actual curves on the corners, that can help as well. Additionally, that center piece that accesses the lower storage compartment, you're going to want to be slightly forward, so that way when you're opening it, it does not get caught up in the piece that's around the cup holders. Other than that, it's as straightforward as it can possibly be. The wrap took me about 45 minutes to an hour to install. This took about 20 minutes, and that was with filming. This is a way easier and way simpler product to install, but also I think it looks way better than the wraps that are out there. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that this was helpful. Perhaps this is a product you should consider as the Tesla Model Y continues to be shipped without the updated center console. And of course, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @BeardedTesla. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.